Hello guys and gals, and welcome to another episode of Unique Items. Today we're going to be looking at the Demon's Arch Balrog Spear. So the Demon Arch Balrog Spear is a spear that is relatively ignored, I feel like, and it is a very interesting spear. One that I have used myself to pretty great effect. It has some very interesting abilities, most notably a very high amount of elemental damage, lifesteal, attack speed, and physical damage as well. Which really makes it a very nice candidate for a lot of characters, including a throwing Barbarian and even a throwing Javazon. And don't you look quite fetching with two spears running around like this? See, isn't that cool? That's cool. So let's talk about this particular spear, the variables on this spear, and no, you know, we'll dig into the nitty gritty, the nitty gritty. So right off the bat there, you see it has a throw damage of 124 to 192, a one-handed damage of 102 to 195. So not bad on the damage, even on the non-ethereal version. We have a 30% increased attack speed on this, which means it's going to go relatively fast, which is very nice. The quantity on it is 80, which is relatively low for quantity stack size. When you take into account something like Titan's Revenge, which has 140 stack size, 80 seems relatively small. We also have a dexterity of 95 requirement and a strength requirement of 127, which is not really that bad for the requirements. And this is an elite item. This is as high as this gets. It has a required level of level 68, so you aren't going to be able to use this right away. But it is an interesting weapon nonetheless. You could even put this on a mercenary, believe it or not, and he could get fairly good use out of it, especially if you find the ethereal version, which is a lot much higher damage. You might laugh, but mercenaries actually can use spears.
I'll put that to good use.
Now, this particular item also has the 210% enhanced damage on it, which does vary between 160 to 210%. And because physical damage is one of the amazing characteristics of this particular spear, you definitely want to see if you can find an ethereal version that has a higher ED. So it does vary between 160 to 210%, and 160 is going to be a relatively low ED damage. We also have some very nice elemental damage on here, which is 232 to 323 fire. We've got 23 to 333 lightning. So a really nice little just boost of elemental damage, just slapped right on top. So you've got, what is that, about 600 damage, which is pretty darn sweet. We also have 12% life stolen per hit, which does vary between 6 to 12%. And then we have Replenishes Quantity, which is a very nice effect which causes the javelins to slowly replenish over time. And this is important because it allows you to find this in the ethereal form, which we're going to go over next. So the ethereal form has 10 less stat requirements on both the strength and the dex. As you can see there, it's 85 and 117. And the throw damage is much higher at 186 to 288. Versus the 124 to 192. That is a huge boost, in my opinion. We also have a one-handed damage, which is your actual attack, of 102 to 195, which is increased to 151 to 291. So a really nice just bonus to damage there on the ethereal version. So if you were going to use a Balrog Spear, it might be a good idea to grab an ethereal version. But of course there is a downside. The relatively low stack size combined with the Replenishes Quantity effect means you can obviously use this infinitely, but it is going to take a while to repair. So you may want to get your hands on several of them or have a backup so that you can use when you are waiting on it to replenish. That's actually one of the main strategies of throwing characters in general, is that if they have Replenishes Quantity items, what you do is you have one set on one swap and the other set on another swap, so that as you're throwing one set, you can wait for the other to replenish, and so forth and so on. And some people even go as far as to have 3 sets, which is a pretty big deal. So keep that in mind. Now, on Barbarians can actually utilize these as well as a Javazon, which is why I chose a Barbarian. You could use the skill Double Throw, which is right here. So let's go ahead and boof ourselves up real quick, and you can see we've got 1,540, 2,646, that's the Ethereal one, and 1,111 to 1,982, that's the non-Ethereal version. And of course we can just start slinging these, just slinging. Now the other interesting thing about these is that you can obviously attack with them. So if you would prefer to attack directly, you can do that. Now the unfortunate side effect of these is that because they are Javelin class, the Barbarian does not have any combat mastery specifically for Javelins. So like for instance, as a throwing Barbarian, throwing Barbarians tend to like to build Axe Mastery. Because Axe Mastery also applies to throwing axes, whereas they have no Javelin Mastery. So you've got Throwing Mastery and Axe Mastery, but no Javelin Mastery. So you could actually sort of like dual spec into like a Frenzy Barbarian who is also throwing, if you're using axes, because you can build both masteries at the same time. And Frenzy works on both of them. Of course, Frenzy works with these too, don't get me wrong. You could use Frenzy with a pair of Balrog spears, and it is fairly effective. And the other beautiful thing about using Frenzy with Double Throw is that the synergies match up, and you also gain the attack speed bonus. So when I switch back to the throwing, you'll see that my spears throw much faster while Frenzy is up, and then as soon as Frenzy goes off, my spears will deteriorate quite quickly. And let's go ahead and break both of these spears for dramatic effect. So as you can see now, they are both broken. They are at 0 durability, and we can wait for them to replenish, which takes a little while, unfortunately. As you can see, I threw 2 spears and they were broken again. So, what can you do with these when they're broken? Well, nothing. You gotta wait for the Ethereal version, anyway. For the non-Ethereal version, you can come into town and you can repair it. It only costs 1 gold here. And the Ethereal version, unfortunately, you're just going to have to wait. There's absolutely nothing you can do other than just take it off and wait for it to replenish. This is why you are going to need several of these. As you can see, it doesn't replenish very quickly. If we could even count it out. So let's see, 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000, 5 1,000, 6 1,000, 7 1,000, 8 1,000, 9 1,000, 10 1,000, 11 1. So about 10 seconds. So it's about 10 seconds per quantity. So so if you multiply that out on a beautiful calculator, you can get 80 times 10 divided by 60. And then divide by 0. 80 times 10 divided by 60 is about, well, dang, 13 minutes. 13 minutes. Really? 13 minutes? About 13 minutes to replenish this thing back to full? That's kind of ridiculous, actually. It says it replenishes 1 in 3 seconds on the website, so maybe my math is just wrong. Or maybe it's just not replenishing on the screen as quickly as it seems. It certainly isn't replenishing 1 in 3 seconds. I mean, we can stand here and look at it, and it's definitely not. So literally 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000, 5 1,000, 6 1,000, 7 1,000, 8 1,000, 9 1,000. It seems to be about 10 seconds. I'm not sure if that's a bug, because I think I do remember it being 1 in 3 seconds, but 1 in 10 seconds definitely seems to be more accurate at this particular point.
Good afternoon.
So who all can use these items? Honestly, just about anybody. Like, Zeal Paladins can use a Demon Arch relatively effectively for Zeal. The durability actually goes down a lot slower when you're using it in melee versus when you're actually throwing it. So if you were to put this on a Zeal Paladin, he could get the increased attack speed, the elemental damage, the lifesteal, and it would be relatively indestructible. You could put this on a throw barbarian. You could use it on a frenzy barbarian. You could also use this on a Javazon, which is a fairly solid choice. You can throw this on a mercenary if you just need a weapon for time being. It actually does work fairly well on an Act 2 mercenary. And I feel like just in general, it's a very powerful spear. And if you happen to find the Ethereal version, I would definitely hold on to it, specifically for a Throw Barbarian or a Zeal Paladin or something along those lines. I mean, you look at that one-handed damage of 151 to 291. It's a large amount of physical damage. Now, granted, you can't socket it, unfortunately, and you can't repair it, so you do have to wait for the repair function to actually affect. But I feel like it almost really shines as a melee weapon, not as a throwing weapon, because it just has really, really high damage for a one-handed spear. You know, if you happen to find a 210% enhanced ED Ethereal Demon's Arch, you could use this on a melee Amazon. You could use this on a melee Paladin. You could use this on a melee Barbarian. You could use it on a melee Druid. I mean, there's really not a lot of limits to what you could do with this particular spear. You could even use this, honestly, on a Enchantress and throw it just so you could get the additional fire damage and stuff like that. It'd be kind of silly, but you could do it. All in all, it definitely is a fun item, and I hope you enjoyed this particular episode of Unique Items. There are a lot more on the way. If you have any suggestions for videos, I'm more than open to them. I'll see if I can work out a video for you. And don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button, guys. Need those subs. And as always, keep watching.